Shalom royalty, it's Ellie here, and what's up rainicorns? So today's video is titled Lady Stuff and Feminine Needs. I don't think when I put this on YouTube I'm gonna need to put the age disclaimer on there. I think it'll be fine because, you know, young ladies go through everything that older ladies go through besides menopause, but puberty feels like menopause, so we can all say it's the same thing all the time, just at different points in life, okay? Because even being like a younger lady, I don't have like that many like health situations that I have to deal with, but I did just have a child, so it's like despite me being fine and my body not necessarily going through any natural changes, it was forced to go through changes in order to give birth and the aftermath of that. So yeah, I really just, you know, this isn't a specific video talking about anything too specific. Is very general because I feel like, you know, just as women we need to talk about more things and just talk to each other. We do, like, yeah, I don't understand what's up with the internet right now. Like, what is up with the internet? What actually is up with the internet? And the thing is, it's not the internet, it's the people. I don't understand why, you know, it's so many women talking so bad about men, it's so many men talking so bad about women, and I'm like, don't we all have kids? Like, aren't we all like creating people? How else are we creating people if we're not involved with each other? So as much as you say you hate men, you got kids. And as much as you say you hate women, you got kids. Or you've had abortions, and that's a whole different story. I think I might touch on that too. So, you know, if you're sensitive to that, or you're sensitive to miscarriages or anything like that, you know, just disclaimer, I might get to that later, but so y'all know how the moon works. She works in cycles, and so does the female body. And so yeah, it's that time. So, you know, I'm chilling. Ever since I got on birth control after my son was born, it's been way easier for me to deal with that. And so my cramps have been way less. So it's like that's one of those things where it's like, oh, birth control is bad, and it's like, man, I love it. Because it's not even so much, because like my OBGYN, he wanted to prescribe me it when I was a teenager, but my mom wasn't going for it because she thought I was just gonna have my legs open for all types of dudes. And I was like, in my brain I was just like, Mom, my cramps hurt, like I can't go to school today. Like, that's how my brain was going, and I'm still like that right now. Like, even if I had gotten it before, it wouldn't have been like that. I wouldn't have been like on some hoe shit. Like, as a teenager, I only had vaginal sex with my husband up until we started to get, you know, our divorce process started. He's the only dude who had ever been between my legs. So regardless of any of that, yeah, this is kind of a raunchy video, so I'm gonna keep it as PG-13 as I possibly can. So yeah. But being on birth control now, like as an adult, I haven't had terrible cramps like I used to when I was younger, and I don't know if that's because mine just got easier or if it's because of my birth control. But I'm 100% sure had I gotten on birth control back then, I wouldn't have had to suffer the way that I did with the pain. If we can just, like, I don't know about any natural remedies to help with like period pain, period cramps, because I hated like taking a bunch of ibuprofen pills. I'd be asleep all day. I had this, what's it called? I think it's naproxen. I think that's what it's called. That pain medicine. I got that from after pregnancy pills or something. I think that's what it's called. So yeah. And the birth control that I have is Nexplanon. It's the arm implant. And so you get it removed after 3 years. But yeah. You know, regardless of any of that, let's talk about like emotions, right? Well, before we get to the emotions, I wanted to mention Proverbs 31. Like, when we talk about a whole Proverbs 31 woman, right? And people, especially men, they love to throw that out there. It's like, who can find a virtuous woman? For she is more precious than rubies and jewels and all that stuff. And it's just like, y'all gotta understand something. A Proverbs 31 woman, she wasn't even described as a submissive woman. She was described as a woman who did what she did and did what she had to do. She invested in real estate. She owned her own business. She had children and stuff, of course. She had maids. She owned property, like I said. She was like that poppin' female. A lot of these men are too insecure to have that poppin' female. A lot of y'all want women who are just going to stay at home and not do anything. That's fine if you want that. Make sure you make enough money to cover whatever she wants and whatever your children need. It's as simple as that. If you can't be okay with your woman, like, being, let's just say, a public figure, right? This is actually one of the issues that me and my ex-husband had. I don't really understand what he was thinking when certain things started to happen, because when he met me, I was already in entertainment. I was modeling, Miss Black Memphis title holder for like the pageant. Already like had my YouTube channel. In connections with big name people in, different industries and stuff. Working, doing brand ambassador stuff, getting my following up, just in general in entertainment and social media. And so when I started to get into the real estate industry, it was okay at first because, it wasn't about any clout. It wasn't about any fame or anything. But when I started educating people, it just kind of turned into that. When you start doing something and you become known for it, fame just comes with it. And he didn't like that. And so it was confusing for me because I was like, hold on. You already knew I was like on the road, on the verge of being famous. So why all of a sudden is it an issue now that we're married? And now that I'm actually doing something productive, like, like modeling or acting. I'm not saying it's non-productive, but I'm saying like I'm educating people on how to invest in property. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't just only be happy, especially when I'm doing it from home. Like, I'm not even like, going face to face with people to teach them. I'm not a coach. I'm not a mentor. I'm really like, well, I have a course now, but at the time it was just like a online type of class thing. So it was confusing when I would try to build my following so I can make more money, because I'm just going to be honest, we were struggling at the time. So he said like one of the issues that he had in our relationship was me wanting to be famous. And I'm like, I mean, I was already, in the midst of doing that. And so I'm just kind of confused. I never brought this up to him, but that was a huge red flag to me. I'm like, you already know like what I'm about. So I'm not the type of person to just be quiet if there's something that needs to be said. If it needs to be said, I'm going to say it. I saw an issue in the industry in this particular area, so I said something and I did something about it. Now I have an entire website teaching people about it. So that was just one of those things. His new girlfriend, she doesn't have that. So if that's what he wants, I have to be okay with it. That's cool with me. I have to be with somebody who's okay with me being in the public eye, who's okay with me being like basically a public figure or whatever. I think a gnat just flew in front of the camera, and I just don't appreciate insects. Like, they really just be in your face in your business for no reason. It's like, learn your role. Like, when I be in my shed, right, when I be outside, it's more often that bugs will come in or whatever. I'll just talk to them. I'll just be like, bro, get out. Get out. I don't really have gnats in there, though. It'll be like wasps or flies or mosquitoes. But I'll just be like, get out. And they leave because they know what's up. But anyway. So, yeah. Also talking about, like, being natural, right? So I've always had natural hair my entire life. This is the first time my hair has actually been short. It was a little bit shorter than this last year. I cut it early 2020. I always wanted to cut it so I could donate it, but I never was able to. And so when lockdown happened, I was like, you know what? Chop. I just might as well. So I still have my hair. I haven't donated it yet. I was really trying to wait until like all this COVID stuff went away, but it's been a year and a half now. So I'll find somebody who can take it. But I started on this new hair journey. And so it's been really fun. I love having short hair, and I love being natural. And so a lot of women find themselves, whether it's having fake nails or fake hair, and none of that's bad, because I used to wear acrylics for a little while. And I don't think I've ever had a weave, or I've worn wigs a couple of times. It was before I cut my hair. I was really struggling. Even though I was able to get my hair to a healthy state before I cut it, at some points my hair would get matted when it was long. It would be really hard to comb out, hard to brush, and so I would have to wear a wig over it, because I was also depressed. I went through depression like before our divorce became like official. It was just like a lot of neglect and being separated basically. So on top of postpartum depression, and I was already depressed like before I got pregnant too, because it was just like a lot of stuff going on. So I had like basically 3 doses of depression on me at that point. So I was wearing a wig because my hair just wasn't working. And that's one thing I just don't think that people understand. Depression, especially as a woman, takes more of an effect on you than just, oh, I'm sad and I don't want to do anything. Like, you legitimately don't want to do anything, and sometimes you can't do anything. You could try to start doing your hair. You could try to start taking a shower, and you bust out in tears. Like, I'm actually getting emotional talking about this because I didn't realize like how deep this was. And so if I start crying, then but dude, it is like so serious. And it's more than just like mental health, because that was one of the things that I was dealing with too when I was going through major depression. It was like constantly people being like, oh, you need help or whatever, and it's like, y'all don't even understand. Like, there was a group of people who were my ex-husband's friends, were like trying to urge him to leave me without a reason. Like, that was the thing. Like, they didn't have a reason for it. They just didn't like me or whatever. They're not even friends anymore. And so that was going on. The crazy stuff that happened with our ex-business partner, and the reason like we lost our house and pretty much lost everything at that point. Moving back in with my parents, just figuring out things. And then in the midst of our marital problems, we had like domestic violence issues, and so it was just like a lot to deal with. And I think I was dealing with that for, as far as like the major problems, probably 3 years straight. So it was from age 19 to 21. So yeah, so like on top of it already like being stressful or whatever, it just didn't help going through marital issues, because you're supposed to like be able to go through stressful situations with your spouse instead of them like, making it worse, gaslighting you, just lying, cheating, lying about cheating, spending money that you don't know about. And so, when you have a child at home and that things aren't okay, like, y'all aren't in the financial position for there to be like side hoes or whatever to like have extra cell phone bills being paid for somebody else. Like, that just kind of hurts your feelings, on top of already dealing with whatever situations you're dealing with. Don't do that. And so it was just very depressing. It was very depressing. And with that, it was just hard for me to take care of myself at that point. It was just very hard to be like, oh, I'm just gonna continue being happy. Like, it was so hard to just continue being happy with all that going on. And it was just like very beautiful. When I was going through all that, I met my business partner, Coach Hinton, and he actually has a book called Staying Happy and Confident When Your World's Falling Apart. When I read the book, it helped me out a lot, and it really put into perspective that I wasn't in the position that I needed to be in life. Like, I was never in my heart like, I need to leave my husband and everything's gonna be okay. God literally stepped into the situation and made him leave me. And so even though he's still going through whatever he's going through, us like officially making it clear that we're getting divorced and going ahead and like paying for the paperwork and getting documents in the court and everything, now my life got so much better. And I was able to like, even though it's like a it's like a lonely feeling, but it's better. I'd rather be alone and a little lonely than be with somebody and be sad being with them. Because when I'm by myself, I always have peace. You know, we all get in arguments with ourselves sometimes, but you argue way less with yourself, especially when you're one with God and you are really doing your best to have a relationship with Him. We argue with ourselves every once in a while, but when you're constantly arguing with another person and things aren't making sense and you can't come to an agreement on anything anymore, that disturbs your peace and takes your peace away, and you can't operate like that. And so as a woman, it was like, you know, I'm an advocate for polygyny, honestly. And even recently, I was just like, I think it was before we officially started the divorce stuff. I was like, you know, I always told you I was okay with an open relationship, and now that I understand more about us as people, it would be, you know, polygyny, not so much, you know, open relationship or polyamory. It's polygyny. And I explained what it was and everything. He said he was still not interested in it. And so, you know, it's just like, at the time it was confusing for me. It was just like, you know, because the thing is, he still likes me. That's the weird thing about this whole situation. He still likes me, still pretty much wants to be with me, but he still wants to have his girlfriend. And I'm like, I don't know how you think that logically makes any sense. But regardless, she doesn't like me either, so it is what it is with that. When it gets to like understanding polygyny and me being actually okay with it, you know, you'd be like, well, what guy wouldn't want that? A man who doesn't follow God. Like, I'm so serious. Like, we would read the Bible together, we would pray together, we'd meditate together. And it's just his relationship with God never got serious. And once that became 100% clear to me and God revealed a lot of things, then, you know, he was removed from my life, and I was able to gain a lot of peace from the situation, because now that my emotions are no longer involved, when he does try to flirt with me, when he does try to hit with me, or he does want to, you know, have sex or whatever, I'm able to say no without it being like, you know, troublesome. Because at first I wouldn't say no because I felt like it was an obligation as his legal wife. But now that, even though we are still legally married, just understanding my place, understanding my relationship with God now, and understanding like what's happening in my life, and feeling so happy being alone. Like, I didn't know how depressed I actually was. Like, I cut my hair, I changed my demeanor, I was able to focus more. I really became a whole new person. And I was able to take care of my body more. Like, when I was with him, I was depressed, so I know I wasn't, you know, keeping my hygiene proper how I needed to. Because like I said, it would be like, oh, I need to go do my hair, or I need to go take a shower, I need to go do laundry, and you just bust out into tears. Not like this, because I can still operate while I'm crying now. It would be like bawling up, crying, not able to move, that type of thing. And so I do laundry all the time now, but it's no issue. I wash my hair all the time now. I take baths all the time, and it feels so good. And I'm like, I haven't felt like this in such a long time. And it's weird. It is so weird. And so, you know, that's just like part of it. When it comes to like specifically having issues as far as like being in a relationship, or, you know, going through pregnancy, going through depression, that type of thing, not every woman goes through it. And so, you know, kudos to you guys. You know, if you don't go through certain relationship issues, if you don't go through depression, if you don't go through postpartum depression, you know, that's awesome that you don't have to experience that. And so, you know, other things like miscarriages and abortions, right? just to change the subject, because when I talk about depression, like, bro, I haven't talked about it in a long time. And I honestly didn't realize it still affected me like that. Very honestly. And so, when it comes to that topic, though, I am pro-life because I don't think that we really have a say in, you know, the life of somebody else. Some people don't consider it to be a life, but it's like, you created the life. You know what happens. You know exactly what happens when you have unprotected sex. And so if you're doing it with somebody that you don't know, or you're doing it with somebody who you don't want to commit to in that way, you really just have to face whatever situation comes with that. Whether it's, you do give your child up for adoption, or honestly, it's very interesting to me because I notice, like, with a lot of teen moms, they get a lot of support, but it's like if someone's older, they feel like they won't get that type of family support. So it's almost a blessing in disguise that some people got pregnant as teenagers and they were able to have their family help them, because most people would be like, I can't afford a kid, or I'm not in the right space for having a child and stuff like that. But it's like, that's what help is for. Having my son and having his grandparents, my parents, and my ex-husband's parents, like, be able to share with me information and wisdom and different tips about parenting and stuff has been very, very helpful. On top of, like, financial support, really that wisdom that's given is more valuable than all of that. And so, um yeah. For ladies who have had abortions, I understand. I'm not gonna sit here and be like I never contemplated it. I did think about it. I went to an abortion clinic once, but I ended up having a miscarriage, so I didn't even, like, have to go through with the abortion or anything if I was gonna do it. But it's just like one of those things. It's one of those things where a lot of us are miseducated. A lot of us are reckless, irresponsible. Because even at that time, I was living with my boyfriend at the time. Yes, we got married later, but we both were just kind of like on the verge of being like, we don't know if we're ready to be parents. We're going through certain situations, and it was just, it wouldn't have been smart for us at the time, but still, it's really not our choice to make. We decided to do what we did in order to create that child. So, it is what it is when you decide to be with somebody in that way, that intimate. What comes after that. That's why, like, sex is so powerful. Since, we do talk about spirituality and stuff, a lot of people practice sex magic, whether intentionally or unintentionally, and that is it's the most powerful thing in the entire universe. You're literally creating life. God gave us the ability to co-create with him, and the greatest gift he ever gave us was the ability to be parents. And so, that's a beautiful gift when you think about it that way. So it's like with the whole pro-choice thing, my body, my choice, it's not really your choice, and it's really not your body either. So, when you understand things like that, your body is a temple. We rent these. When you die, you don't get your body back. Your body goes back to nature, where it came from. And so, it's just a lot. It's just a lot that goes into that. And you really have to have a relationship with God in order to even, be real with yourself. Like, are you saying my body, my choice so you can continue to be reckless and irresponsible? Or are you saying my body, my choice because it's something that is touchy to you? Because women who have been in, situations where they were done wrong, like they were raped, or they were in arranged marriages and they weren't ready to, like, have a child, or they were groomed by pedophiles or something. And so if you're coming from that standpoint, it's very understandable. It's something that, you know, we have to look at as a collective instead of having a blanket black and white statement. Or even if, you know, there's health issues that could come from the mother giving birth, like if it's known that the mother's going to die, then that is a concern to have. But when we're talking about like my sister, she just got her degree in biology, right? This is women's health studies is one of her biggest sectors of it. I forgot exactly what she called it, but this is something she's been studying for a while. I participated in a survey recently that they did with their program, and it was a lot of questions about this, and my sister already let me know. She was like, over 90% of abortions have nothing to do with rape or health issues. They're just people getting them because they want to get them. And I'm like, you know, because before she told me that, I was ignorant. I thought that, you know, it even existed because of that. I thought the reason for abortions was because of people having health issues or, you know, getting raped, molested, or being in terrible situations where it just wouldn't be smart for them to produce a child. But no, she said most abortions come from people just doing it for whatever reason, whether it's a man who cheated on his wife and got abortions behind it, her back, which did happen to me. So it's like, I get it, you don't want to bring a child into the world like that, but this is about responsibility. This is about being mature and able to, you know, do things properly and in order. That's why we have marriage. That's why we have, you know, spousal relationships. That's why we have wives and husbands. It's not, you know, this isn't when people get really touchy about all this stuff too, because it's like women's rights, being a feminist and all this stuff, and it's like, there's a reason there's a divine order. There's a reason we have the divine masculine and we have the divine feminine. The divine masculine is made to protect the divine feminine so the feminine can continue to produce more. Because if you have so many strong, independent women, who's taking care of them when they need to be taken care of? That's one thing I can say I really appreciated about my ex-husband. Like, everything was really, really nice when I was pregnant. Like, it was cool. You know, he did what he could, and it wasn't like chaos all the time coming directly from him. And when we did have to deal with chaos, like, he did the best that he could. So feeling like that type of safety, why is it that women don't want to be protected? Like, it's a lot of females who are pregnant getting into new relationships, and I'm like, so what happened with the other guy? Like, why isn't he there to protect you and his child? Like, you're dating, holding someone else's child. Like, can we think about this for a minute? Maybe you don't need to be dating. I get it, you probably want that protection, but if it's not coming from that man, you need to seek protection from somebody else. You need to seek a covering from somebody else. I'm so blessed to have my father in my life, because I know that, like, if anything was to happen, I do have that sort of like masculine security. I can ask him for help or different things like that. I understand a lot of females, a lot of women may not have their fathers in their life, which is why they make certain decisions. But it's like, you know, you don't have a big cousin, you don't have a trusted uncle, like a good guy friend that you used to grow up with, like a pastor, a godfather, you know, something. You don't need to necessarily be in a sexually intimate relationship with a man in order to have protection. And I think that's the confusing thing for a lot of people. People get, you know, intimacy confused with lust. And you can be intimate with somebody without having a sexual relationship. Like, I spend intimate time with my son. It's not a, you know, a sexual relationship. We cuddle and we kiss and we, you know, play fight, all that stuff. You may not do that with a grown man, of course. But, you know, you still have, you know, your hug sessions, you shake hands, you spend time talking, you share wisdom, you gain wisdom, you listen to men, honestly, because even when they sound stupid, they make a lot of points. So we have to really get over that as well, because we're getting into a time right now where men are just going to be needed. Men aren't needed right now. If we're going to be honest, men really aren't needed right now. But that's right now. People don't know what the future holds. Some of us do, but most people don't. And that's what they got confused. I was talking to one girl. She's older than me, but like the thing that she's dealing with, like I dealt with it before, and she's dealing with it in like a different way. And I'm like, how are you like a decade older than me going through what I went through 2-3 years ago? Like, it's just weird to me how this is going. But she has several children, and she doesn't believe that a man is supposed to take care of a woman. She believes that a man is wanted and a woman can take care of herself. And I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, well, that's why your relationship is the way that it is, because you have that mentality. Because, you know, that's already the mentality of somebody who's really not one with God. Honestly. Because it's... Understand something. Children make all the difference in the world. It is one thing to say, hey, I'm not going to get married nor have children. That's one thing. So therefore, yes, you can be an independent woman, but that's an independent woman, single. Being an independent mother, no. There's a reason you now have the title mother. You're supposed to share the parental title with the father. So as parents, you're supposed to share the titles mother and father. So there is no independence. There isn't. Because even when, you know, we're not supposed to get divorced, that's the problem. And we're not supposed to, you know, have children out of wedlock, all this stuff. But even if that happens, the father is still supposed to be there for the child. No, I don't like it. So there's no such thing as being independent when it comes to this. No such thing. No such thing. When children are involved, there's no such thing as being independent. Period. I don't want to hear it, like, at all. Because how did you create that child? You didn't create that child independently. No, you didn't. You either got an ex-husband or you have a baby daddy. It's that simple. He shares as much responsibility as you. And the thing is, we're in a society as well where it's like, people don't want to, I don't understand it. Like, you have toxic baby mothers who don't want their father to spend time with their child. Then you have toxic baby fathers who don't want to spend time with the child. It's weird. I know plenty of guys who are like single dads, and they like take their kids for a particular amount of time and they spend a lot of time with them. So I'm not saying it's most guys. I'm not saying it's most women. I'm just saying, like, we have a culture where it's normalized. So if it does happen, it's not surprising to anybody. And I'm like, so nobody's like on their ass about the situation. Like, nobody's constantly being like, yo, bro, you need to spend time with your kids. Or like, yo, sis, you need to let that man see his kids. Like, we don't have that. We don't have that type of accountability. That's weird. Like, that's strange. And so, you know, it is so much. It is so much, you guys. And I did not expect this to start crying on camera. I'm sorry if that kind of surprised you. It surprised me too. I didn't think, like, I was suicidal before, like during my periods of depression. So, you know, that is something that affected me, and I hope that me talking about this got it out. It, like, even bringing it up now, like, my eyes are starting to water again. So I'm trying to end the video and just say I appreciate you guys for sticking with me if you did watch this entire video, because that was pretty emotional. And so I just wanted to talk about a few different things. So Ladies, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Men, you're not exempt from this topic, so I'm not gonna say don't comment and share your opinions, but this is a video directed to women, so please just be sensitive in what you have to say. Be courteous. You know, just respect women in the comments, please. That's all I ask. And so, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I do want to talk about a few things in the future that I find to be interesting when it comes to, you know, just like women in general. There's a situation, I'm gonna wrap up this video, but there's a situation with Cappy, the NBA, the WNBA star. Let me see exactly what her name is, because I don't want to say her name wrong or anything. Cappy Poindexter, I think. Is that her name? Pondexter? Cappy Pondexter. And she accused LeBron James of trafficking and being part of Pizzagate and all of that stuff, and no one's really talking about it much. Nobody from like Me Too has been backing her up, and I just find that to be weird. If I'm being completely blatant and like blatantly honest, I find that to be weird that nobody from Me Too was trying to help her out or do anything like that. People are just calling her mental, and people are calling her crazy and all that stuff, saying that she doesn't know what she's talking about. And I'm like, that's a pretty serious accusation, yet nobody from the feminist movement is backing her up that I've seen so far. And so, you know, whether it's true or not, I feel like this needs more attention from, like, it's getting attention from independent, like, commentary sources, not so much news sources. So that's the thing. That's the interesting thing about it. So let's all pay attention to that, okay? But yeah, Shalom royalty. I'll see you in the next one. Tawada by Rainicorns.